Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca and welcome to my YouTube channel, Rebecca's Wild Side. In this video, I'm going to be discussing my goals and my plans for 2024. My knitting plans, that is, not my life plans, because we just wouldn't have enough time for that. So if you have been watching my videos, you'll know that I've been knitting for just over a year now. I kind of treated my first year of knitting as not an experiment or kind of a trial. I don't want to say a learning year because hopefully I will always be learning in knitting. I'm sure I'll always be learning new techniques and different things. But this year I want to plan out my knits a lot better. One of the things I'm going to touch on is treating my knits a lot better. And yeah, just trying to make everything go a bit smoother and be a bit more intentional. I am going to be discussing my knitting goals for 2024, some changes I want to make, some improvements I want to make, and then the main part of the video will be going through some patterns and designs that I'd like to try and make in 2024. Disclaimer, I'm sure many of these will change. Obviously, there are going to be so many wonderful designs released this year, and they will probably take precedence over my current plans. But this is a bit of an idea and hopefully will give my year a bit of structure. I know a year is a very long time, but I thought, why not? I've got 10 specific designs I want to talk about in this video. I'm hoping I can knit 10 things this year. I think I did that last year, so hopefully I'll be able to do the same, but they are a little bit more intricate and complicated than the things I was making last year. I will not be mentioning accessories or socks in this video because to me they are something that, first of all, I can imagine there are going to be so many accessories released soon. So I don't want to just say, oh, I'm going to knit certain accessories. And there is nothing really specific right now which I want to knit accessory or sock wise. I'm just hoping I'll come across some stuff that I want to work on. Regarding the socks, I am going to try and make my way through the 52 weeks of socks book. Obviously, I'm not going to try and knit all the socks in there, but if I enjoy it, I will try and find some patterns in there that I like. So I'll start with some of my goals. Firstly, I haven't managed to get the hang of Ravelry. It's not that I haven't managed to get the hang of it, it's just I don't like the interface. I know that's a common agreement in the community. I really think that if their interface was better, I would enjoy using it more. But those things are subjective and personal. I know so many people who use Ravelry and love it. And I use it to buy I buy almost all my designs on Ravelry, and that is because they save there. And I know that they are linked, if I've paid for it, they're linked to my account and I'm never gonna lose them. I want to create a collection of my finished objects using Notion. This is not an ad, I'm not sponsored by Notion. I know they sponsor a lot of creators. I really love the interface of Notion. I have used it in the past for many different things. When I was at university, I used it a lot. I put my partner onto it because he is self-employed and runs his own business. Yeah, I've decided I'm going to start using it. I have been using it for YouTube and I will be using it for my finished objects. Ideally, if I can make the time, I would like to use it for my works in progress as well. But right now, I'm just going to try and focus on the finished objects. And I want to keep kind of a journal of everything I've created this year so that at the end of the year, when hopefully I share with you everything I made in 2024, I will have it all laid out in front of me and all the notes with it. But it's the aim, it's not a promise. I love the idea of being able to insert photos and notes and have different links embedded, things like that. I'm very excited, and as I mentioned, I prefer to work on Notion. So that is my first goal for 2024, to document my finished objects. My second goal for 2024 is to wash and block my knits nicely. I've put nicely here. Properly is another correct term. If you have been following me in the past, you'll know that I have put my knits in the washing machine and tumble dryers, and I won't be doing that this year. I'm going to be very well behaved and very patient, and I'm going to do it all properly because I need to appreciate, appreciate's the wrong word, because I do appreciate my knits, but I don't appreciate the time and effort that I put into my knits. I kind of finish something and then I A, find all the things wrong with it, and or B, say, oh, I can just make it again if it's, you know, or I can make it better or something like that. So it doesn't matter if this gets ruined. Obviously, that is not a healthy or nice way to treat my handmade objects. And yeah, this year I aim to look after them and treat them as nicely as possible. And I do know that blocking does wonders, so I want to see that firsthand. My third goal, it's not a goal, it's an exciting piece of news, I guess. My partner is competing in a fitness competition in March, which is going to be in Copenhagen. I've mentioned in the past I have plenty of family who live in Copenhagen. It's also really easy to get to from where I live, and it's a very affordable flight. So I'm super excited to go over there for a few days and visit all the yarn stores and buy. I'm going to take a whole suitcase this time, an empty suitcase, because I'm really looking forward to picking up some really nice jumper quantities to create the patterns I'm about to talk about, or the designs I'm about to talk about. That is another goal for this year. I want to use better quality materials. Yeah, better quality materials that I enjoy working with and that I think are worth the price. Because there are certain yarns out there, this is a really unpopular opinion and it might change. My current project that I'm working on in Knitting for Olive, I'm not seeing the hype. But maybe that will change, and maybe I'm knitting in a funny gauge, I don't know. But right now it's not doing it for me, so I'm gonna finish this project, see how I feel, see what I've got left over, we'll see. I have got a bonus goal for 2024, and it will not happen until much later in the year. It'll definitely, if it does happen, it will happen at the end of the year. But I would really like to release a design of my own. I have no idea where to start with this. I don't even know. I haven't decided if it's going to be a free pattern or something that is kind of pay what you want, or maybe a charity pattern. I haven't decided. It's only something that I will release if I'm really confident that it is worthy of being released. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you would encourage me to do or not encourage me to do. If you've tried in the past, let me know. I have no experience in test knitting. I haven't planned to do a test knit this year. If that's something that comes up in 2024, a test knit that I would like to apply for, I will do it. And I think if I am to release a design later in the year, it's important that I take part in a test knit for the obvious reasons that it will show me what it's like to be on the other side. I've only ever applied for one test knit, and I didn't qualify, and that's totally fine. These people get hundreds of applications, but yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out this year for anything that I'm interested in test knitting, because I feel very strongly that I can complete a test knit within the allocated time. That is not something I'm worried about. I'm not worried about understanding or reading the pattern because I'm very confident in that now. The only thing I am nervous about is making gauge, and obviously I will create it completely to pattern, but it's just, yeah, not doing it in the wrong gauge so that it's completely the wrong fit and all of those things. I guess that's where I get nervous. So that's it really for my goals. I'm going to move on to some designs that I have picked out for this year. So I'm gonna kind of start with jumpers and then work into summer knits and then move on to maybe some dresses. Let's see. Under jumpers, my #1 goal this year, and it will happen, is I am going to knit a cabled jumper. It's something I've wanted to do for a really long time. I am able to knit cables. I know how to knit true cables because I've done it in the past, never on a garment. And I have picked out, so I've only picked out 2 possible designs right now. I am really drawn to both of these designs, so the likelihood that I will be making one of these is very high. But if I come across another cabled design that I'm drawn to, that is totally on the table as well. The first cabled jumper that I will talk about is one that I've mentioned before. It is the Sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is an all-over cabled jumper. The cables look super small and there are plenty of them. It's not what I'd call a chunky jumper, but it's also not too close fitting. So I think it's a really nice balance. I haven't even thought about colours for this. I think this could be really nice in a dark red. I don't think I'd do it in anything too bright. I would really love something like this in a navy, but I don't think the cables would pop. So I think navy is off the table. I'm also really keen on a mid-brown colour. I have some sort of brown neutral. I love my browns and I haven't got loads of brown knits, but yeah. So that is the first jumper that I have my eye on. And then recently, so that was my #1 jumper for a long time. I was also, I will touch on it, I wasn't planning to talk about this specific design, but I really like the look of the Dawny sweater by Creabea Rebecca Clow, or Clow. Her podcast is amazing. I'm an avid fan. I really liked the look of the Dawny jumper, the Dawny sweater, but recently, if you watched episode 50 of the Creabea podcast, you will see that Rebecca is working on what she is calling the Lorda Sweater. So it is an all-over cabled jumper. It looks amazing. And something that I really love about this design is that Rebecca is releasing it with a round neck, a V-neck, and then a round neck cardigan and a V-neck cardigan as well. So there will be 4 variations of this design, and I love that. I think it adds so much value to the pattern, and yeah, if I love it, then I can maybe make a cardigan in it one day. We will see. That has taken my #1 spot at the moment. I think it overtook the Sweater number 15 and has replaced my wanting to knit the Dawny. It's not in testing yet. I think Rebecca said she was going to put out testing calls later this week. So I'm not quite sure when it's going to be released. I think she said it's only going to be a 6-week testing period or something along those lines. So I'm hoping maybe it will be released by March. And if it is released in March, I think that would be such an amazing time because I can go to Copenhagen, pick out the exact yarns I want to knit it up in and go ahead with it. And I think if I was to knit the Lorda sweater, I would go with the V-neck design because I've never knit a V-neck sweater and I've never knit an all-over cabled sweater. So to add those 2 things, it's a new challenge for me and it's something I'd really like to do. And I like the look of it as well. I think it kind of gives that cricket jumper schoolboy look, which I actually quite like. And I'm also aware that there are plans for Rebecca to release the Lauder vest, which is an all-over cabled vest with a V-neck and a round neck, I think she said, but that'll be later this year. So I'd rather do the sweater first, and I wanted to do a sweater originally. So those are my 2 cabled jumper ideas. I don't own either of those 2 patterns I've just talked about, but something I do own is the next pattern I wanted to talk about. It is the Hug Me Tight sweater by Teplo. I actually came across this on Instagram and I was instantly drawn to it because it is a project with negative ease. And I have attempted one project with negative ease before and it didn't go very well. So this is a pattern I already own. I bought it straight away because I wanted to read through it and just get an idea for it. And yeah, it's a little bit daunting, as I mentioned, because it does have negative ease. But what I love about this jumper is, again, there's so many variations. I actually can't remember if they're mentioned in the pattern, but I think they would be so easy to do. So the full length sleeve on this pattern has thumb holes. I love that. I think that's such a cool, I'm one of those people who always loves clothes with thumb holes, as long as the thumb hole's big enough. Sometimes they pull, but yeah, so that's something I thought was really exciting. It looks like a pretty simple all over rib. I love this in the navy. So the only thing that makes me feel a little bit conscious about this design is the photos I've seen of it in the lighter colors do show you can see the model's undergarments, which is absolutely fine, but for me, I just wouldn't feel comfortable with that. Because of the negative ease, it stretches around the bust quite a lot, and I have a relatively average bust, but I do think it would stretch a little bit over the bust. But I saw that the version in navy didn't do that as much, and it's a darker color, so I think that's quite an interesting idea to do it in a darker color. The final jumper I'm going to be talking about today is my plans for a Christmas sweater for 2024. I know, Christmas has just passed and I'm already thinking about next Christmas, but that is because I know that if I don't plan this out and I don't start it early enough, it will not get finished in time and I'll just be miserable. This is something I saw on Those Twins Who Knit podcast, Rachel and Jessica. And Rachel knitted the Festive Yoke pullover by Skeindeer knits. So this is a super customizable colorwork Christmas jumper. There are so many different variations on Instagram. If you type in hashtag Festive Yoke pullover, you will see them all. But I am really drawn to the kind of design that Rachel did. She hasn't posted a photograph of it, so that was a little bit sad. It was one of my favorite knits of hers this year, and it doesn't feature on her Instagram as far as I'm aware. I didn't sift through it with a fine-tooth comb, but it's really beautiful. So if you want to see that, I highly recommend you go and check out that podcast. I think it featured in episode 8 as a finished object. I love anything with deer or animals, and the reindeer she did in the middle of the yoke is just, again, I don't need to think about that really until October, and I do think I would need to start a colourwork Christmas sweater at the beginning of October if I wanted it done for December. I guess I could finish it mid-December, so maybe if I started at the end of October, I don't know. But that is something I'm really interested in doing. Before I actually move on to my spring and summer knits, I'm quickly going to talk about the dresses that I have plans for, and that is because the dresses that I have picked are more wintry dresses or more cold weather dresses than warm weather dresses. So I'm going to discuss those. There is also a skirt in there. So I've never knit a dress before. It's something I've wanted to do for a really long time, but it's a little bit of a daunting task because of the amount of knitting that there is involved. I know a handful of dresses were released last year. I think one of these, well, I've only got one dress that comes with a pattern that I can talk about, and that is the Mamba Dress by Ullen Knitwear. So this is an amazing dress with cables. Again, there are so many variations of this dress on Instagram. The original, which I think is supposedly a almost full length dress, I think it might be a midi or maybe even a maxi dress with long sleeves and a large collar. It just looks beautiful. It looks really difficult, but I feel like I could do it and it's a good challenge. So there's that, but some of the modifications that I really love are, I did see one which was very close fitting and had long sleeves, but I saw another one which was close fitting that was sleeveless, and I thought that was really cool. It's a very nice idea for a layering piece. I thought that was really interesting. And then the other one, which I absolutely loved, was the test knit that Florence Miller did. I'm a huge fan of her on this channel. I highly recommend you go and check her podcast out. She did this test knit and she made it a mini dress, which I love. Florence's had long sleeves, a large roll neck, and it was short. So to me, that seems like quite a cool idea, because you take away some of the lengthy knitting, but you also get this beautiful dress with cables. While I was scrolling through Florence's Instagram, I came across another dress, but this is a dress that has no pattern to it. It is a self-drafted dress by Florence. I think she mentioned in a couple of her podcasts that she's been asked a lot to write up a pattern for it. But I can't remember if she said she was going to do it or not. But it's really cool. It's just a plain all over stockinette dress, I think. And again, it's got long sleeves and it's a mini dress. So I thought that was really cool. It might be something that I attempt to do on my own, but yeah, I'll have to think and see if I feel up to that challenge. I completely forgot about this, but it's something I saw a long time ago that I added to my queue. And it is the Sporty knit Skort, also by Florence Miller, which is handmade by Florence. This is a Skort that Florence designed, so it's a skirt with shorts underneath. It's almost pleated. I think it's ribbed, but in a way it kind of gives a pleated vibe. I love the fit of it, although I do remember Florence saying it takes so much more work than you expect. But if I can get this done for spring, I would be so happy, because I think I get so much wear out of it. And I've already decided that if I knit this project, I'm going to do it in a crazy, obnoxious, bright colour. So I'm either going to do it in neon pink or like electric blue maybe? I don't know. I don't think I'd do bright green because I'm more into the faded, darker or paler greens. Yellow, personally, is not my favourite colour and I don't enjoy wearing yellow. What other colours have we got? We've got red, but I am knitting a red champagne cardigan at the moment. Although, thinking about that actually, it would be really cool if my champagne cardigan turns out to be a certain vibe. I could knit a matching Skort with the same yarn. Actually, I love that idea. So let's add that to my ideas. Yeah, something like that. I think I don't know, I just think a bright colour could be really fun, especially for spring. So that is it for the dresses and skirt section. I have a section here for cardigans. There are no designs in it, so I'm currently knitting the champagne cardigan. I'm going to see how, I've only just started it, I'm going to see how enjoyable it is and how I feel about cardigans. I think if I do knit another cardigan this year, it will either be something that has to absolutely mesmerise me, or I'm considering maybe a wrap, because I think like a ballet wrap's really beautiful, but probably a cropped, tighter fitting one, because then there is less knitting flat. I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. I have one slipover / vest which I would like to knit this year, and that is a pattern I already own. It is the Mobi Slipover by Petite Knit. This is a really cool, again, oh my gosh, this is going to be the year of the cables. I can feel it. This is an all over cable design with crisscrosses and moss stitch, or at least the jumper has moss stitch. I'm not sure if the slipover does. Loads of people knit the Moby pullover last year, and there was some it was a controversial knit because I know that there were issues with the pattern and things like that. I didn't see too much about the Mobi Slipover. I don't think it was as popular, but it's something that I really want to knit. I love the way it looks on Met and all the other models, so I think it's something. I don't own a vest. I've never worn a vest or a slipover, so I think this would be a really cool one if I can get it done. Again, it's a big job because it's a very textured knit. The final few things I want to touch on for next year are my spring / summer knits. For spring, I would really love to knit a blouse number 1, either the original blouse number 1 or a blouse number 1 light. These are patterns by My Favourite Things Knitwear. I currently own the Blouse #1 light, and I was really into it when I first saw it, and now I actually think I prefer the Blouse #1. But yeah, this is a super beautiful bell sleeve, really lovely fitting boat neck blouse that I think is perfect for the spring and even the summer. It was very cold here, in my opinion, last summer. That's on the list. As I mentioned, I already own it, so I wouldn't need to buy it. I'd have to decide if I would buy the Blouse #1 regular pattern, just because I wonder if I'd be able to. If I see what the gauge is for the original pattern, I might be able to work it out using the light pattern. Another knit I'd like to get done is the Camisole No. 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I already own this pattern and I did attempt it in the summer of 2023. It didn't go well. I used the recommended yarn, the recommended needle size, and followed the pattern completely, and it was massive. So it ended up like really oversized, which is really confusing because I don't understand how you can get that with like 3mm needles and the suggested yarn, but I guess it happens. I guess I'd need to do, well, I know I'd need to do a gauge swatch this time, and I will do a gauge swatch. That is also on the list to do a successful one of those. The one I created last year was in a bright blue, knitting for olive merino. I actually have some left over, so I'll show you. Okay, I take it back. I need to reorganize my stash. It is a mess. I can't find it, but I will actually insert a photograph of the color that I knit it. So it's this bright sky electric blue. And yeah, it was supposed to be really cool, but it didn't work out. So hopefully the plan is to make that again. It's a super quick knit. I think you need 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn. Anyway, that is hopefully going to be a successful summer knit. The final project I have on my list is actually something I just came across. It's from a designer that I've never heard of before. It's the Pyramid Camisole by Minimi Knit Design. This is a really cool camisole. It has a halter neck and a crossed back. I'm not sure what the pattern will be like, whether it's simple to follow, because I'm not aware of the designer, and there are not many projects on Ravelry, and there is also not many photographs of it on Instagram, especially by other people. So we will see if this is a successful candidate, but I just think it's beautiful for holidays and really hot weather because of the shape. I think I'd probably do this in an off-white linen colour. So there is a really basic run through of my plans for 2024. As I mentioned, I'm sure they will change, and I'm so excited to see so many wonderful designs come out this year. There are already things that are in testing that I'm really attracted to, but I haven't added to this list because I want to wait and see how they turn out. I also want to wait and see what else comes out. I'm looking forward to trying new designers, as I mentioned, new yarns, new fibers. Or like yarn types. I really want to knit a boucle project this year. I know it's a nightmare to work with from what I've heard, but I just love the look. So that is also definitely on the list. Other than that, I'm super excited to see where my knitting takes me this year, and hopefully you guys will be around to see it all happen. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would really appreciate you hitting that like button. If you want to see more of me, feel free to subscribe, and please let me know what your big goals and plans are for your knitting in 2024. I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.